Steel Ball Run was the start of a brand new universe for the entirety of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, introducing to the readers a whole new reality of characters like Johnny Joestar and his future family that would go on to influence the entire series, or introducing how stands work in this new universe. On top of that, introducing new mystic arts like the Spin and Gyro Zappelli's story. Though, the first thing we see when we do enter this new universe isn't either of our protagonists, but a young, nimble native naturally navigating his way away from his nabbers. That man is Sandman, and he possesses the stand in a silent way. Sandman, also referred to as Soundman in his native tongue, is a Native American who joined the Steel Ball Run race with the intentions of winning enough money from that said race so he could buy back his homeland from the government. And he's honestly one of the coolest characters in the series, and for a while was something of a side protagonist to the Steel Ball Run race. Someone who had goals outside of the main characters, yet we could root for them all the same. Well, at least he was, till he got his own arc, but before we get into that, we should actually understand the meaning behind his name. Sandman's name comes from two possible sources. First, you have the Chordettes, with their hit song, Mr. Sandman. A classic song about asking the mystical figure that is Mr. Sandman to bring a dream in the form of a handsome man to keep the singer company in their dreams because they're lonely. Basically, it's about looking for the right man to help someone in their time of need. And Sandman as a character matches these themes pretty well, as he's the only man of his tribe capable of saving it, as he took time out of his life to learn the white man's language and study their culture, and with that he learned about the Steel Ball Run race, the importance of money, and chose to enter it to save his people. The other possible reference is a returning one for Araki actually, and that is Metallica and Enter Sandman, as Enter Sandman is a song with a theme about being manipulated, with James Hetfield saying, "I wanted the song to be more of a mental thing, where a kid gets manipulated by what adults say." And you can see this theme of manipulation reflected in Sandman's actions throughout the story, as he is always being manipulated by people in higher places than him, aka metaphorical adults. First, you have when he was awarded first place during the beginning of the race. This manipulation of his placement in the race had Sandman feeling guilty enough that he found himself forced to help Gyro at some point in the future. And then you have when Valentine manipulates him into working with him. And given Sandman's origin and understanding of the world that he's entering, he's basically a child among these adults. So he's a child being manipulated. Along with this, you also have when the reader enters the world of Steel Ball Run, we enter it with Sandman, thus, Enter Sandman. But the last possible connection to the song Enter Sandman and Metallica itself is that in 2003, a year before Steel Ball Run, the manga began, Metallica gained a new band member. This man is...
Roberto Agustin Miguel Santiago San Trujillo Veracruz.
And the reason that this matters is that Robert is part Native American alongside originating from Mexico, which appears to be the same for Sandman, whose running style is a direct reference to, and I know I'm going to butcher it, the Tarahumara native tribe of Mexico. The reason being is the Tarahumara are known for their long distance capabilities, being able to run non-stop for at least 200 miles. All thanks to special running techniques that I invented thanks to their rocky and canyon-esque terrain. Now I should say that this could all just be coincidental, as Robert's Native American half comes from around the New Mexican side of Native Americans, and that his mother was of Mexican descent, and that she originated from a different place in the Tarahumara.
But no, it means a lot to me. My mother was born in León, Guanajuato, Mexico, and my dad actually is more Native American from New Mexico.
Though still given that he is Native American, and that his band has made a song which plays perfectly into the character of Sandman, it's possible that Araki took influence from it. It's also possible that both of these references are what shaped Sandman as a character. Though, these are all references for his false name. His true name is Soundman, or the man who creates sound in the tongue of his people. And this name comes from his stand ability, that being in a silent way. In a Silent Way is a humanoid stand which takes on a Native American design, and it was given this design to mimic Native American wall art and paintings of chieftains and warriors, along with Araki adding the roses to mismatch with the rest of the warrior look of the stand, alongside matching the braids of Soundman. The stats are C in destructive power, C in speed, D in range, A in durability, D in precision, and B in developmental potential. In a Silent Way has two major abilities which play off each other very well. The first ability is sound storage. What sound sound storage is an ability that allows Soundman to store the effects of sounds into an object or creature. Example of this is when he placed the burning sound effect onto one of Diego's dinosaurs, and anything that got near it began to burn. Along with this, Soundman can pick a target, then the stored sound will then pursue that target until it either is destroyed or comes in contact with that said target. And when it does come in contact with that target, it uses its ability and then destroys itself. Though this ability wouldn't be possible without one of Soundman's other abilities, sound construction. How sound construction works is an ability that allows Soundman to create constructs of sound effects, turning the noise into literal physical objects. These objects can then be interacted with by others, i.e. Diego when he turns them into dinosaurs, but if they are touched by a regular person, they will feel the effects of the stored sound. Though, the only person who seems to be able to touch the sound effects without getting harmed is Soundman himself, being able to climb on top of them and float with them. Now, visually, the ability seems to be in reference to Araki's specific stylized sound effect text, as it takes something so directly rooted in the series meta and makes it a physical object in the world, breaking the fourth wall in a fun way that doesn't directly call itself out, because I mean, why else would a Native American in America create katakana sound effects in this universe? Now, musically, the reference behind the name and ability comes from the Miles Davis album and single, In a Silent Way. The song itself revolutionized jazz and rock and roll, combining the two together to create a unique sound that made In a Silent Way a major hit, as it mixed together the fierceness of Hendrix, as Davies claimed that this was an inspiration for him during the creation of the album, and the calmness of the blues, and it turned out to be one of the most successful songs without lyrics, relying solely on instrumentals to deliver its message. This is the same for Soundman and his stand, as Soundman's ability is based off the sound and sound effects themselves, much like how Davies' song worked. Though, I say Davies' song, the truth is that Joe Zawinul is the official writer for In a Silent Way. In fact, Davies is usually miscredited as its creator, which actually this common misconception plays into a theory I have about Soundman and Sandman. Because you see, one of the biggest complaints I have about Soundman and Sandman is his huge personality shift for just dramatic tension purposes. He starts out as one of the first characters we meet, and someone whose journey we've been following alongside Poco Loco, Gyro, Johnny, and all the other main characters of the series. And then suddenly, he turns evil for a shortcut to get his land back from a man he never really should have trusted. It never really rubbed me the right way, especially after his speeches about the creation of a monetary system in the world and how that's what runs everything now. The fact that he would rely on trust to a person instead of going directly for the money, which he knows for sure would work, just doesn't seem right, until I noticed something rereading the In a Silent Way arc. You see, when Soundman reveals his ability to Diego, he appears from under a door completely out of nowhere, very similar to how another stand ability works. Though this appearance is explained by one of the Valentine cabinet members as Soundman was placed there in hiding to attack Diego if he were to deny or attack them during the deal. It's possible that this is simply a lie made by the president to cover up his ability, as it also happens that this cabinet member nodded to the president before Soundman made his appearance, under what seemed to be a completely empty door. What I'm getting at is that Soundman and Sandman are the same person, but from different worlds, swapped by Valentine during the events of the race. And this would explain the loyalty Soundman seems to display towards Valentine, as just like alternate universe Diego, Valentine would promise this man from another world who knows nothing of the corpse parts something grand in exchange for something so small in comparison, which in turn makes the deal seem way more satisfactory towards Soundman. Another reason that this deal makes more sense to Soundman from another world than it would to Sandman is that Sandman knows about the power of the corpse parts, as his people help spread them all across the country. So it's even more unlikely that he would work with someone when he could just go out of his way, win the race, and buy the land. He has the ability to do that, where Soundman is from another world who knows nothing of the corpse parts and would find no downsides in aiding someone for a quick shot at his land. Another reason that plays into the factor of Soundman and Sandman being two people from two different worlds is that Sandman brings up the fact that his original name is Soundman in the tongue of his people, but every other native person we see in the series, including his own blood sister, refer to him as Sandman, showing that that doesn't really seem to be too true that his real name is Soundman, unless all of the natives he was talking to are using the white man language, except for the fact that the natives who were hunting him down, calling him Sandman, were hunting him down because he had white man books in his house. Also, from Valentine's perspective, if Sandman chose to betray him, Valentine can't just zap him out of this world, he'd have to go after him, where with Soundman, he could just pop him back. And this works thematically, giving Valentine complete control over Soundman, playing into the existing ideas of the themes of Enter Sandman and the In a Silent Way misconception, as Soundman taking the character spot away from Sandman while being still manipulated by an external force is just too perfectly tragic, and I feel would help salvage his character. Also, side note, if it is true that Soundman and Sandman are two completely different people, it would make a lot of sense by the fact that Sandman, when we first see his stand, looks completely different than how Soundman's In a Silent Way looks, meaning that they could have possibly different stands. And if it is true, then there is a reality where Sandman was likely dropped into the alternate world replacing Soundman, and he was able to participate in that world's Steel Ball Run race, continuing as normal. And in this world, we can see a neck-and-neck race between Diego, Sandman, Poco Loco, Johnny, Gyro, all these great characters. Though, this is all unconfirmed, and you can accept or deny it at your own will, but I feel it works within the universe and helps only improve the story overall. That, and it would be a perfect foreshadowing for the whole, alternate world Diego thing that shows up later at the end of the story. And if you enjoyed this video and like to see more videos like it in the future, I have a Patreon at patreon.com/MannyNotTheBadGuy. Now this video was selected by the weekly It Just Works polls over at my Patreon, and if you would like to go vote, you must head on over there and pledge at least $3 or more, and you get to vote on whatever character you want. I put up 3 or 4 characters every month, and people get to vote on it, and whoever wins I do a video on. And if you want to experience sound effects brought into life, well then you can head on over to Funimation.com/show/Shimonetta, boring world of the country doesn't exist. Buy yourself a copy of Shimonetta, and you'll get to experience those beautiful doujin sound effects in visual experience.